Greetings, Exiles, a moment of your time. Today's build comes from a galaxy far, far away, and you will be able to channel your inner Sith Lord and the power of the dark side into the world of Rayquest. Lightning Tendrils has been one of my favorite skills in the game, but Legacy of Frisia allows me to take this onto a whole new level, with a whopping 53 million DPS while fully buffed. So, you will be able to clear any content, destroy any boss in the game with no trouble at all, as long as you know the mechanics. So, let's get into it. So this is the character. We are at level 95 with 322 intelligence, 236 strength, and 97 dexterity. Well, not that we need that, but we need it for Assassin's Mark. Okay? Now, sitting in our hideout, our Lightning Tendrils of Escalation is saying that it's doing 5.7 million DPS. That is a lot. Okay, we're at 100% critical hit chance for spell and 537 crit multi. And 11.9 cast per second, so that is really, really fast. Now the character is not tanky in any way. Well, sometimes it can die from just mere lightning hits, okay? And there's a reason for it. But this is one of the builds that I would say it's either you or me, and it's not gonna be me, okay? So, if you pretty much tap your right click, you're already hitting enemies in this cone. And the longer you channel, you're gonna hit enemies up to the edge of the screen, okay? And all the hits are criticals. Okay, so you can pretty much kill anything with just that. Very powerful. So, there you have it. Okay, our defenses are pretty oblivious. We got 3.5k armor, which is really, really low. The energy shield's only 1.3k and 3.6 life, so that's not a lot at all. But I managed to survive, and believe it or not, I survived a Shaper Slam that you saw in the intro clip. Okay, we got some good fire resistance, only 79%. We can go even higher with level 23 Purity of Fire. We got 75 cold and minus 200 lightning resistance. So those of you who play Doriani's prototype unique armor will know that this is a necessity. Okay, and we got 51% chaos resistance. And some block, although not very impressive, it's still better than nothing. Alright, so we're gonna go over the equipment, skill gems, passive skills, and then we're gonna wrap it up with some play demonstration for you to see. Okay, so let's take a look at our equipment. So without taking a look at the skills right now, let's look at the rares. So we got our wand, okay, with a fractured lightning spell skill gems. And we just got a bunch of cast speed, crit, and lightning damage. So the wand could still be a lot better, but it is what it is right now. I am thinking about maybe get a Tormented Spirit wand, but that's gonna cost me more than 100 divines. So we'll just leave it at that for now, okay? But it's just something in the future that I would like to do. The next piece of rare is just a basic gloves. They got lightning damage leeches life, that's very important, and increased damage per frenzy charge, sure, whatever. I got 10 frenzy charges, so that's 50% increased. Speaking of charges, we're gonna take a look at them as well. We get some dex so that we can get some stats to get our skill socketed. Some resistances and the increased AoE, it does affect your skill, although the +1 level only affects the socketed gems, which are auras. The belt, sit and vise, very basic, not even good, but it is what it is at the moment. We need that strength. Then we got 2 rings that are from Lake of Calandra. Okay, so this one's actually having cast speed and maximum life and minus lightning resistances. The fire damage to attacks against you is nothing. Okay, and then we got another one that doesn't have a lot of life, but a ton of minus lightning resistances. So that's how we even got our lightning resistance to be at minus 200 at all. Okay, and just a lot of strength to be able to equip all the armor. So these armors, they require a lot of strength, especially this one, 224 strength. And the reason we don't go energy shield is because, well, first of all, the Doriani's prototype unique armor makes it so that our armor affects our lightning damage taken from hits. We're gonna go over that in a second as well, but going full energy shield makes it so that I'm gonna need to stack int as well, and we're still gonna take a lot of lightning damage, so that is a no-no. Okay? I mean, maybe it'll work, but I don't know yet. We got a Redeemers and Warlords influences on this helmet, so that we get maximum power charges and 15% of physical taken as cold, and some crit multi as well. Okay, so those are all the rares, and let's take a look at our unique pieces of equipment. So the star of the build, Doriani's prototype, makes it so that enemies in our presence, or nearby enemies, have equal lightning resistances to ours. So we have minus 200 lightning resistance. That means they do as well. It doesn't matter if it's the boss. It doesn't matter if a map has enemy elemental resistances or purity of lightning auras, whatever. It doesn't work. Okay? So this alone solves us the problem of having to curse enemies, having to have lightning penetration, anything to do with resistances. So that's how our damage is reaching 53 to 58 million DPS when full buff. Okay? So one thing that you need to keep in mind is that it changes your armor and lightning resistances. So now lightning damage taken by you will be measured and mitigated by armor instead. So the value of armor does indeed affect your lightning damage taken. And let's take a look at armor and fizz reduction real quick. Okay, so this value right here, fizz damage reduction 57%, and although with both of these flasks pressed, it's 80, but that doesn't affect lightning damage mitigation. So it's from the actual number over here itself. So you're gonna have to be real careful when you're around lightning damage. And one other thing is that it only affects lightning damage taken from hits. So damage over time lightning, such as the ground effect of the Crusader or Mana Siphon, will instantly kill you if you're not careful. Okay, but how do we solve that? Well, first of all, we don't. Okay? Basically, one tap from you, or just like a 0.3 seconds of your lightning tendrils, it's going to kill whatever rare monster that is here with the Mana Siphon ring. So, Mana Siphon doesn't even touch you when you kill them, and it will take only 0.3 seconds, so that kinda solved the problem, I guess. Well, like I said, it's either you or me, and it's not going to be me. Okay? For Baron, you kill him before he kills you. And that can be done with full buffs and the aura from your Guardian as well. So maybe it takes like less than 1 second or up to like 1.23 seconds and he's dead. So it's pretty cool. Okay, so that's the unique piece of armor. Now we have the amulet. The Badge of the Brotherhood makes it so that our maximum frenzy charges is equal to our maximum power charges. Okay, so basically we don't need to worry about having to spend points on frenzy charges. Now it says allocates infused. It means that we're anointing the amulet so that it gives this passive to the character, okay? But we'll take a look at the passive in a moment. And we don't need to worry about the elusive or chance to lose a charge or anything. We are always affected by our maximum number of charges because of Ralakesh's impatience. These unique boots, they really don't do anything except makes it so that your character is feeling like it is being affected by your maximum number of charges, you count as having maximum number of all the charges, okay? So even though it says right now I have 1 power charge, I actually have 10 at the moment, okay? So I also have 10 frenzy charges right now and 4 endurance charges, okay? So I could find a corrupt with +1 endurance charge on this as well, but that's like 100 divines. So it's a no at the moment, but maybe I will do that, okay? Other than that, it is very slow. Okay, so the way we move around is with Frost Blink of Wintry Blast, and we're gonna take a look at the skills in a moment as well. And lastly, we get 2 maximum power charges from Malachi's Loop, and we don't care about losing power charges on reaching maximum because we always have the effects of maximum charges, and it will still shock you. Okay, so when you kill enemies, you still gain power charges from a passive skill tree. But once you reach maximum power charges, you will lose them. It will not shock you because we have Tempest Shield, which again we'll go over in a second. Speaking of charges, it is also important to mention that you cannot have any kind of interactions with charges mechanics with skills such as Flicker Strike. So Flicker Strike will bypass frenzy charges if you have them. So even though right now I count as having maximum frenzy charge, I do not physically have frenzy charge orbiting me at the moment. Okay, so it will not consume a charge because you don't have it. You just have the effects of having maximum charges. So that's a huge difference. Okay, so just be careful when you try to build anything revolving around Relikesh's impatience. Alright, so that's the equipment. Now let's take a look at all the skills. Okay, we got Lightning Tendrils of Escalation, obviously, our main DPS, and the only skill we use to do damage, well, except from Frost Blink of Wintry Blast. Okay, now, sure, it's Frost, but we got some Abyss Jewels that gives us flat lightning damage to the spells, okay? Anyway, so that's our main DPS and the movement skill. We got Sigil Power for the buff. 5.7 million to 6 million just by pressing spacebar, okay? And then we got Wrath. Now it's 7.9 at Sigil Power Stage 1, okay? Now Wrath is supported by Wraith Spectre, Guardian's Blessing, and Meat Shield. And we'll go over all of them in a second. We got Assassin's Mark, Immortal Call CWDT, and we got Petrified Blood, Zealotry, Purity of Fire, Clarity, and Tempest Shield. Of course, Wraith Spectre is over here, but we don't use it at all. Well, it's best to keep it away, okay? Now, here's the thing. We have all our auras, well, there's Petrified Blood, which is not an aura, but still, these 3, Zealotry, Petrified Blood, and Purity of Fire, they reserve so much mana, so we're supporting it with Enlighten. And it is important to have Enlighten because if we don't, we're gonna have 3 mana left and we can't use any spell. Okay, so Enlighten makes it so that we have 98 mana left to cast any spells at all. And we don't run out of mana ever because we have Clarity, okay? So Clarity is here by itself, okay? We can turn it off. Sure, we have mana, but we cannot maintain the upkeep of mana over here. So that's why we need Clarity so that it's enough. Okay? Now, we're not ever going to run out of mana because of how we're actually regening so much. Okay? Next up, we have Wraith Spectre, of course, Meat Shield, Wrath, and Guardian's Blessing. The Spectre that I have with me is the Dark Marionette, and this thing is not very special on its own, but because we're supporting it with Guardian's Blessing, the moment I turn on Wrath, it's going to start to lose health. But at this time, I have so much more DPS to delete any boss, and it's gonna die. The Dark Marionette will reconstruct itself, after 4 seconds. So I don't even need to worry about trying to find a new one. Okay? So that's one cool thing about the Dark Marionette. Anyway, moving on, we got the starter build, Lightning Tendrils of Escalation. Okay, and the reason we're using Lightning Tendrils of Escalation rather than its original version is because this skill has effectiveness of added damage at 150%. Okay, so the original version is 130. This, however, does not have a stronger pulse, which is an automatic critical strike. But since we're critting 100% of the time, we don't need that. Okay, so we gain radius the longer we're channeling up to a maximum of 2 meters. So it's always a win. By changing the regular skill to this skill, our DPS came up by 2 million something. Okay, so that's a lot of DPS. We're supporting it with increased critical damage, faster casting, infused channeling so that we take less damage from hits while channeling as well. And believe it or not, it saves my life more times than I can remember, including the Shaper Slam. Okay? Increased critical strike support. Without this, we won't get 100% crit chance, but also, if I take this out and put in, let's say, Awaken Lightning damage, it will give me more damage because a critical hit from that is going to do probably 1 million more, but then we're also not going to be critting 100% of the time. I think it's only 69%, which is very low, so if I were to crit at around 90%, I'd still be fine with it, but no, I don't think it's worth it. Well, let's see over here. Yeah, 69.72, so that is bad. Okay, we need to be critting 100% of the time. And Empower level 4, obviously. For that extra damage, 4.1, and now 5.7. Now keep in mind that the numbers you see here is not accurate. You should go to POB, and my POB says 53 millions, okay? So that is pretty insane. Probably the most DPS that I can squeeze out of any build that I've done so far. Okay, we got Tempest Shield and Arrogance support. So Arrogance makes it so that we're reserving life instead of mana, and the reason we're using Tempest Shield is because it originally reserves 25% mana, and with Arrogance it's just going to go up to nearly 50%. Well, it's actually more than that, but we got a passive skill that reduces some life reservation so that we're always on low life, and combined with Petrified Blood, we're making sure that we're not going above half-life for the benefits of using Pain Attunement, which we'll be looking at the moment. So, sure, we're leeching some lightning damage as life, so anytime I fight monsters and I hit them, I will be leeching life automatically, and my leech effect does not end when my health reaches half, because we have some unreserved health left over here. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that I always leech no matter what. So you can kind of try to find a craft. Well, I mean, I think I can craft something out of this, okay? But anyway, you can try to find a craft that increased your damage while leeching, because you're always leeching no matter what, okay? And then we got Sigil Power, Immortal Call. Both of these are being supported by more duration, and cast when damage taken is only triggering Immortal Call. It does not trigger Sigil of Power. Well, because Sigil of Power is already at max level, so when something is higher of a level than what CWDT can support, it will just end up not supporting it. So if I take this out, you're gonna see that my Immortal Call is now usable manually. So if my CWDT is at a lower level, it will not be able to make my Immortal Call autocast. Okay, so that is a huge deal. We're only at level 9 on Immortal Call and level 7 with cast when damage taken. So the higher level you go, the more damage you need to take in order to trigger this skill. And it's just the point where you have to find a balance where you feel like it's best for you. Some people can go higher, but for me, since I only have this much health and energy shield, I just want to make sure that I take less damage the moment I lose most of my energy shield and not life just yet. But sometimes damage just goes right through. Okay, and I'm not talking about chaos damage. I'm just talking about any kind of hits that is so hard that it takes all my shield away and eventually damage some of my life. So try to find your min-max in here and see what happens. Okay? I'm not saying that you should always have level 9 or level 7. Okay? And we got Frost Blink of Wintry Blast, Assassin's Mark, both supported by faster casting. Okay, so that we waste no time in casting these skills. And it makes it so that you traverse much faster across your map, because Rarakesh's Impatience has no movement speed. You're gonna be so slow. So that's why a Frost Blink of Wintry Blast matters a lot. So that is all the skill gems, with one exception of a gem on your belt. So basically a Hypnotic Eye with some global crit and lightning damage to spells. Okay, now let's take a look at the flasks. All of these have the Surgeon's mod, which gives us a chance to gain a flask when we do a critical strike. Now, sure, there's always a cooldown that's shared between these flasks, but it's only 0.13 seconds, okay? So basically, you're critting all the time. It's going to fill up very quickly, even though there's a cooldown between all of them. And I've tested this with some beasts that Einar was capturing, and during that invulnerability time frame when you can hit them, you're critting and you can see the charges fill up, okay? Immunity to corrupted blood, sure, we can have the corrupted blood on the jewel as well, but right now we don't have it, and it also helps with the bleeding, so it is what it is. Avoid being stunned is always nice. Movement speed, very good. Increased armor, always needed, and reduced curse effects. It would be much better if we have a Sulphur's Flask, because a Sulphur Flask will also reduce a curse effect when we are on consecrated ground. Well, I mean, it's the effect of consecrated ground, but consecrated ground is created from the Sulphur Flask. Okay, so combined with that, and curses will have no effect on you, but it is what it is. Okay, that's the flasks. Now let's go over the passive skill tree. So right now it looks pretty much like this. We're gonna start with the Scion's Ascendancy, which is the scavenger in this league. Got the Cloak of Flame. Okay, so if he's taking a fire by 40%. Void Battery to maximum power charge and spell damage per power charge. Very powerful for the build. And of course, a Death Rush for adrenaline on kill. So you're gonna gain increased attack, cast, and movement speed, and additional fist reduction, as well as increased damage. Okay, so very powerful for map clearing. Other than that, over here is a combination of Unnatural Instinct, which is a must for any Scion, as well as a Militant Faith Timeless Jewel. So basically, an Unnatural Instinct on one of these combined with any Timeless will give you a very, very interesting result. Because the Timeless Jewel will modify all of these skills, no matter small or big, no matter if it's notable or just a regular. Okay, but Unnatural Instinct makes it so that we gain effects from all the small's unallocated nodes. But the allocated smalls will grant me nothing. So we don't gain benefits from these. We do gain benefits from these, and these. And you're gonna notice that each of these has a +5 devotion. Okay, so very powerful in order to gain devotion to be used with our Timeless Jewel. Now, this Timeless Jewel, you're gonna need to find a number that matches your build. Okay, so for mine, it changes this to Zealot, which gives us Arcane Surge, which means increased cast speed and mana regen. So that's always nice. Okay, Martyr's Might with 5% additional fist reduction. Okay, so Right now, we don't die from physical damage because of our Cloak of Flame and this as well. Okay? And, we got Dominus as the High Templar on the Jewel because we need Inner Conviction, more spell damage per power charge, and gain power charges instead of frenzy charges. Well, the second line doesn't really matter because we don't even need to gain charge to begin with. Okay, we just need that 3% more spell damage. So the keyword is more, not increased. Okay, so we have 10 power charges. That means 30% more damage. Okay, and right now we're at 200 devotion. If we look at Misk over here, you can find devotion 200. These notables, you need at least 150. So why go above 150? Well, because our Timeless has extra effects and they all differ. Okay, so for mine, it's increased damage on channeling skills per 10 devotion. We have 200, so that means 80% increased damage. And our Lightning Tendrils is a channeling skill. And a 0.6 mana regen per 10 devotion. So it's, I think, a 12 mana regen. Okay, so that's a lot of mana regen on our character, which is why we're able to upkeep with the mana cost at all to begin with. Okay, and so everything else is pretty much standard. Your spell casting, life, low life, and pain attunement setup. We got our Watcher's Eye over here so that we get some cold lightning taken as fire. Remember that lightning is affected by armor, but we don't have that much armor anyway, so we're changing some lightning to fire as well. You can also, of course, combo this with another shield, which is the Dawnbreaker from the Scion Exarch, to make it so that an additional 20% of lightning damage will be taken as fire. So change to Dawnbreaker for more tankiness, or keep using Malachi's Loop for more damage. Well, since I'm going for it's either you or me, but it ain't gonna be me, then I will not need my defense. Right? Right. Yeah, I think so. Okay. We got some crit cast speed over here. Life, mana, crit over here. Some tattoos. I can find more, obviously, and it's going to give me even more lightning damage. Okay. A Hypnotic Eye again for the lightning damage. It's important to keep using lightning damage because of the build that revolves around dealing lightning damage. And we got some life and mana regen over here. Endurance charge, sure, I mean, it's great because we're taking less damage, but we also deal more damage because of this mastery over here. Okay, and we grab the power charge and some reservations, life and chaos resist, an energy shield, crits, and increased effect of non-damaging elements with critical strikes, so your shop is going to be more effective against bosses. We're shocking the Shaper at around 34% at the moment, so that is really good. The reason we're able to reach 53 million DPS is also because of the shock. Okay, and you won't do that much damage if you don't shock by 50%. Okay, so that's very important. Now, over here is a group of cluster. Lightning damage. So we get widespread destruction, thunderstruck, and, well, this is nothing at the moment because penetration doesn't affect us, okay? So I might try to find something better on here, but thunderstruck is awesome because critical strikes knock back shocked enemies. Well, since you're critting 100% of the time, you're going to shock enemies all the time, and then you crit for more, so you're going to knock them back all the time. So enemies basically cannot get close to us, okay? And we got some crits over here, Basis of Pain, pressure points for crits to be able to deal double damage. Even though it only says 5%, remember, we have a 12th cast per second. So 1 second you're hitting enemy 12 times and all of those are critical strikes. So there's a good chance that once or twice during that time frame you'll do double damage with critical strikes. And we got some Chaos Resist and some health and mana. We got some AoEs over here. Increased area of effect per power charge up to a maximum of 50, so we got 10. That's 30% increased area of effect. Area and crit multi, sure. And some reservations over here, okay? So we got a 25% increased effect. I want 30, but I can't get my hands on those at the moment, so it is what it is, and we got some int and some chaos resist, as well as a total of 21% increased mana reservation efficiency. Okay. Right here there's some life and some power charges related skills. Mana regen, crit chance per power charge, crit multiplier, and damage per power charge. Power charge, obviously, and another hypnotic eye, though there's a little bit of resistances over here. And one node on spill damage leech does energy shield. We definitely need that to make sure that we can survive just a little bit longer, or better, if you will. You will suffer less from damage over time because this is keeping you alive, in a sense. Crit multi and crit chance against shocked enemies. Okay, so that's it. That's pretty much the entire skill tree. Alright, so let's go and do some tier 15, 16 for you. So, something that you want to keep in mind is that you don't want to do maps that have extra elemental damage. Okay, so anything that says physical as extra lightning or physical as extra fire. I mean, fire is kind of okay, cold is kind of okay, but lightning is a no-no. And less aura effect, reduce your maximum resistances, or less armor, less block. Those things, they are bad for you. And keep in mind that I might die over here because once again, it's either you or me, and it ain't gonna be me.
I will never stop searching for that which sends you spiraling into the abyss.
What is this? What is this? I don't do curse anyway. Is that unique? It is a unique. Oh my god, there's a lot of shaper balls around here. Whoa. Okay, this is getting too much. There's Gwenin over here, but we're not gonna waste time with Gwenin. I'm not a local, I am from a galaxy far, far away. So, it's just gonna call me local? No, not a chance. Not a chance. What? There's the boss. So the boss's initial strike may kill you, so just be careful with it. And there is no sigil of power. Alright, so there's the Forge of the Phoenix. Forge of the Phoenix. There it is. Well, I hope you enjoy as much as I have been. The build has been so much fun and it's doing a lot of damage, okay? And it gives you the thrill of, you know, be killed or be killed. Okay, anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Maybe one more build in the Free Shield League before we finally head into PoE2's Dawn of the Hunt. See ya.